What's up, fiends? Alucard here. Today I will reveal my rankings for the Halloween films. I've finally seen them all, and I have some opinions. So let's do this. Halloween is an American slasher movie franchise created by John Carpenter and Deborah Hill. It consists of 13 films, novels, comic books, a video game, and various merchandise such as clothing, toys, and collectibles. Today we're just ranking the films, which is the main source of the franchise, and there will be full spoilers ahead. And remember, this is just my opinion, and this is just for fun. Alright, coming in dead last at number 13, we have Halloween Resurrection from 2002, directed by Rick Rosenthal and stars Bianca Kadlec, Thomas Ian Nicholas, Sean Patrick Thomas, Busta Rhymes, Tyra Banks, Jamie Lee Curtis in a little bit part, and Brad Loree as Michael Myers. Overall, this is the 8th movie in the franchise and is a direct sequel to Halloween H2O, which we'll get to later. This one starts out with Michael finding Laurie at a sanitarium where he eventually kills her and throws her off a rooftop. Then we switch to the main story, which is a bunch of college kids winning a competition to be on an internet reality show called Dangertainment. The students have to spend a night in Michael's abandoned childhood home in order to figure out what led him to kill. And of course, Michael is still living there and he takes them all out. I have so many issues with this one. I get that you wanted to kill off Laurie, or Jamie Lee apparently wanted to kill off Laurie, and be done with the series. But to have it happen in this way, in the opening scene, and then just go to something else, like it's kind of nothing, I thought it was very, very lame. Also, these college kids, I literally wanted all of them off of my television, and I didn't care about any of them. I wanted them all to die. And of course, this has the infamous Busta Rhymes kung fu fight with Michael Myers. Yeah, just no. I think hands down it's the cringiest moment in the entire franchise. And I've literally only sat through this one twice. I did give it another go, and yep, it's still easily the worst one for me. All right, coming in at number 12. I'm probably going to make some people mad with this one, but my number 12 is Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, from 1982. Written and directed by Tommy Lee Wallace and stars Tom Atkins, Stacey Nelkin, and Dan O'Herlihy. After the suspicious death of her father, Ellie Grimbridge and Dr. Daniel Chalice investigate the shady activities of Connell Cochran, who is the owner of the Silver Shamrock Novelties Company. Before long, they discover Cochran's diabolical plan to brainwash the children of America into doing his bidding, using the company's Halloween mask, with all the madness culminating on Halloween night. Okay, I like the storyline. That's not the issue. And I don't care that there's no Michael either. That has no bearing on it whatsoever. To me, this one's shot like a glorified TV movie. It really has that feel. And TV movies can be very hit or miss for me. I really enjoy the good ones, but I have trouble with all the other ones. And I hate the ending to this one. It's one of those endings that should have happened an hour into it and still had a third of the movie left afterwards. I hate when movies do that, and this one does that. I do like Tom Atkins, though, and the music is pretty great. But that's about it for me. All right, coming in at number 11, I have Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 from 2009. Directed, of course, by Rob Zombie. Stars Scout Taylor Compton, Malcolm McDowell, Brad Dourif, Danielle Harris, and Tyler Mane as Michael. This is the direct sequel to the Rob Zombie reimagining and is the 10th film in the series overall. The story follows Laurie Strode as she deals with the aftermath of the previous film's events. Meanwhile, Dr. Loomis tries to capitalize on these events by writing a new book, and Michael Myers seeks to reunite with his sister. Alright, so there are two versions of the movie, the theatrical cut, which in my opinion is the better of the two, and the director's cut, which makes Laurie whinier for some reason. I also did not care for the kid playing Michael. He always just felt completely out of place to me, and I found the white horse dream sequence pretentious and silly and just didn't fit with the vibe of Halloween. Overall, I thought this one was mostly a waste of time. I get that everybody's world fell apart from the events of the first film, but this movie just made me hate everybody. At number 10, I have Halloween H2O 20 Years Later from 1998. Directed by Steve Miner, stars Jamie Lee Curtis, LL Cool J, Adam Arkin, Michelle Williams, Janet Leigh, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Josh Hartnett in his film debut, and Chris Duran as Michael Myers. H2O is a direct sequel to Halloween 2 from 1981 and ignores all of the subsequent sequels, making this part 3 of the original Laurie Strode timeline. It follows a post-traumatic Laurie Strode who has faked her death in order to go into hiding from her murderous brother and is now going by an assumed name, Carrie Tate. The film finds her to be the headmistress at a private boarding school in Summer Glen, California, called Hillcrest Academy. Michael, of course, finds her and the killings commence once again. So this is sort of the Scream version of Halloween as it is written by Kevin Williamson. This was the big return of Jamie Lee to the franchise that made her famous. This one is okay. I just find it a bit basic with cookie cutter characters, and I dislike Michael's mask in this one. The eye holes are too big, and he looks kind of goofy. I do like the scene though of Michael walking down the steps he's like straight up in like a real stoic manner, just looking dead straight ahead. That was pretty creepy. And I also dislike the cop out ending of this one where Laurie beheads what she thinks is Michael, but really isn't. I just thought that was kind of silly. All right, now we enter the single digits. At number 9, we have Halloween Ends from 2022, directed by David Gordon Green. It stars Jamie Lee Curtis, Andy Matichak, Rowan Campbell, Will Patton, Kyle Richards, and James Jude Courtney as Michael. This is the 13th overall in the series and part 4 of the reboot series. The plot follows Corey Cunningham, a young man that falls for Laurie's granddaughter Allison, while a series of events, including crossing paths with Michael Myers, render him a murderous outcast. David Gordon Green claims that this is the love story of his trilogy. Okay, sure. So the main focus here is on Corey, not Michael, which is an interesting decision to say the least. Corey is at least interesting, but I wouldn't think for a second that Michael wouldn't have just killed him when he first saw him. Maybe that's just me. I don't know. The movie is well made. I cannot deny that. But it focuses too much on new characters for this to be a final movie. And it does have a definitive ending to the Laurie Michael story, albeit it does seem to be a secondary focus here. I would have probably swapped the kills and ends storyline wise and tacked this onto the ending of Halloween Kills. I think that would have been more satisfying. All right, moving on to number 8. At number 8, I have Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers from 1995, directed by Joe Chappelle. It stars Donald Pleasance in his final appearance in the series, Paul Rudd in his film debut, Marianne Hagen, Mitch Ryan, J.C. Brandy, and George P. Wilbur returning as Michael. This is the 6th film overall in the series and the 3rd part of the Thorn trilogy. There are 2 different versions of the film, the theatrical cut and the producer's cut, and the producer's cut being my favorite. In both versions, we start off with Michael and Jamie Lloyd being abducted by the Man in Black from the last movie. Jamie gives birth to a baby and manages to flee the cult. Loomis and Dr. Wynn hear Jamie's cries over a radio broadcast. Michael kills Jamie, but the baby is nowhere in sight. Then we meet reclusive Tommy Doyle, who was babysat by Laurie in the original film, and he is obsessed with finding the truth of Michael's motives. And he ends up finding the baby. He meets up with Loomis and relatives of Laurie's adopted family to keep the baby safe from Michael. In the theatrical cut ending, Loomis finds Michael's abandoned mask, and he screams out, leaving their fates unknown. In the producer's cut, however, Loomis discovers Michael has switched clothes with Dr. Wynn and escaped while the mark of thorn appears on Loomis's wrist, indicating he is now Michael's guardian. I would have liked to have seen where that storyline would have gone. All right, now we move on to lucky number 7. Coming in at number 7, we have Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers from 1989, directed by Dominique Othenid-Girard. Yes, I probably butchered that. My apologies, Dominique. Stars Donald Pleasance, Danielle Harris, Ellie Cornell, and Don Shanks as Michael. 1 year after Part 4, Michael returns to Haddonfield to once again hunt down his now mute niece, Jamie Lloyd. First things first, this is easily the worst mask in the series. I don't know what the hell happened here, but it is god awful. I can find one at the dollar store that looks better than this crap. Just saying. So there's a bunch of stuff that happens in this one that doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. But I do find some of the kills okay. And I really do like Danielle Harris as Jamie, even though they kept her mute for most of this movie. We are about the same age, so I always identified with her. All right, so what do we have at number 6? At number 6, I have the original Halloween 2 from 1981, directed by Rick Rosenthal, stars Donald Pleasance, Jamie Lee Curtis, Charles Cyphers, Lance Guest, Leo Rossi, and Dick Warlock as Michael. Taking place mere moments after Part 1, Dr. Loomis hunts for the missing Michael Myers while Laurie is rushed to Haddonfield Memorial Hospital with Michael not far behind. This is the movie that connects Michael and Laurie as siblings. I actually kind of dislike that choice overall, and glad that the newer movies retcon that. This is a good solid movie though. The kills are really great, and I do like Dick Warlock's performance as Michael. This one kind of went a little bit more of the traditional slasher route, but still a fairly high benchmark. All right, now we get to my top 5. So coming in at number 5, and this one probably will surprise people as well, is Halloween Kills from 2021, directed by David Gordon Green, stars Jamie Lee Curtis, Judy Greer, Andy Matichak, Anthony Michael Hall, and James Jude Courtney as Michael. This is, of course, a direct sequel to Halloween 2018. This is the second part of the new trilogy and would be the third part in the new Laurie Strode saga. After their crazy encounter with Michael in the previous film, the Strode women, Laurie, her daughter Karen, and granddaughter Allison, recoup. Laurie stays at the hospital to recover. Michael escapes the blaze from the end of the first movie and starts a brutal rampage to get back to Laurie. Meanwhile, a group of survivors of the original attack form a vigilante mob and also hunt down Michael. All right, I truly don't understand the hate that this movie gets. This one is balls to the wall mayhem. The killing is nonstop. If you're into the kills, this is the one for you. I will say this is probably the most brutal Halloween film in the whole series. I guess the big complaint is the storyline. But really, if you think about it, the storyline is the mayhem that all of this crap caused. I think a lot of people don't realize that. Everything ramps up so much and then ends on a downer. Much like The Empire Strikes Back. Yeah, you didn't think you were going to get a Star Wars reference, did you? It sets up the final showdown film, and that film, unfortunately, goes elsewhere, as we stated earlier. But I really think they should have reworked this one and Halloween Ends and flipped the major storylines. I think it would have worked better, in my personal opinion. But this one is a hell of a lot of fun if you're into the crazier stuff. And yes, evil dies tonight. All right, for me, coming in at number 4, we have Halloween 2018, directed by David Gordon Green. It stars Jamie Lee Curtis, Judy Greer, Andy Matichak, Toby Huss, and James Jude Courtney as Michael. So this is a direct sequel to the original film and starts the second Laurie timeline. It's been 40 years since Laurie Strode survived a vicious attack from the crazed killer Michael Myers on Halloween night. Michael manages to escape the institution and now is in pursuit of Laurie. Laurie now faces a terrifying showdown when the masked madman returns to Haddonfield, but this time she and her family are ready for him. I think this was Jamie Lee's best performance as Laurie. She's like a take no prisoners badass in this one. She's been haunted by this evil figure for 4 decades, right? And she's ready. She's ready to end this. The rest of the cast is great as well. I always love Judy Greer in like literally everything I see her in. The soundtrack is great. Of course, it's new stuff done by John Carpenter, so yeah, of course it's going to be good. My only quibble is the crazy doctor that like wears the mask in that scene. If you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. I just didn't buy any of that, and I thought it was out of place. Overall, though, it's a great entry, even if it did start yet another timeline. All right, we've made it to the top three. At number three, I have Rob Zombie's Halloween from 2007. Of course, directed by Rob Zombie, stars Scout Taylor Compton, Malcolm McDowell, Brad Dourif, Sherry Moon Zombie, Danielle Harris, Christina Klebe, with Daig Fairch and Tyler Mane playing Michael Myers. This is the infamous reimagining. People tend to love or hate this one, although lately I've seen a lot more love for this one, so pretty cool. I thought this was a fresh update due to terrific performances and an overall dark tone. We start off with 10-year-old Michael for the first quarter of the film, brilliantly played by Daig Fairch. I'm sure I'm mispronouncing your name, my friend. I am so sorry, but you were great in this. Then we switch to adult Michael, played by the menacing Tyler Mane. For Laurie, we have Scout Taylor Compton, who is I thought was absolutely perfect here. Malcolm McDowell takes over as Dr. Loomis, who's also a really great choice. I thought it told a nice, complete story, and it's actually I think this is a fantastic like standalone movie. I don't know. Let me know what you think. So I always have trouble deciding which one I like better between these two, but I ultimately made a decision. So at number two, I have Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers from 1988, directed by Dwight H. Little. It stars Donald Pleasance, Ellie Cornell, Danielle Harris in her film debut, Michael Pataki, Kathleen Kinmont, and George P. Wilbur as Michael. This is the first of the Thorn trilogy. 10 years after the original massacre, Michael awakens on Halloween Eve to return to Haddonfield to kill his 7-year-old niece, Jamie Lloyd. Dr. Loomis also returns to fight off the evil. I love how Dr. Loomis just becomes more unhinged as these movies go on. And starting with this one and until like when he leaves the series, like yeah, he just gradually just gets just as crazy as Michael is. And honestly, I think by this point he's just as crazy as Michael. He can just handle it a little better. What do you guys think? This movie is just extremely solid. They got likable characters, good kills. It's the first movie where Michael is sort of no longer human. He's like beyond human at this point. And this one, for my money, has the best ending of the entire series. If you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. And again, I always identified with Jamie Lloyd because I was around the same age. So there you go. All right, so that only leaves one left. What do you think it is? Yep, it's the original from 1978, directed by John Carpenter. Stars Donald Pleasance, Jamie Lee Curtis, PJ Soles, Charles Cyphers, with Tony Moran and Nick Castle playing Michael Myers. 15 years after murdering his sister on Halloween night 1963, Michael Myers escapes from a mental hospital and returns to the small town of Haddonfield to continue his murderous ways. Caught in his crosshairs is a high school babysitter named Laurie Strode. This is the ultimate slasher movie. It set the standard for an entire genre. Sure, there were others before this, but none of it did it so well, in my opinion. Michael is so menacing, and Laurie is the perfect opposition. She seems meek, but is actually quite mighty. The direction, the lighting, the music, the performances, everything is just spot on in this one. And I think it rightfully belongs at number one. All right, we did it. All 13 Halloween movies ranked. Let me know your rankings in the comments below. I'd love to hear them. And until next time, remember to stay spooky. Peace.